Welcome to On the Line. Today I am joined by NFL safety Doug Middleton. How we doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to be on the show.
Glad you're on the show. And it's weird is we talked about this before. Is you're in Indianapolis, I'm in Indianapolis, and you're here for these for preseason game against the Colts. And what the NFL started to do is to do these joint practices. And I know over the past couple of days, there's been a couple scraps, there's been a couple scuffles. For you, like, what are you like in these scuffles? Are you like one of those guys that's like, are you barking? Are you trying to throw? Or are you guys holding someone back? Are you a hold me back kind of guy? Like, what are you in those situations?
Now, to be honest with you, like when I can't really just scuffle. Like I'm one of those guys. Like if I'm fighting, I'm all in. So I'm not one of those guys that just goes around and plays around just to scuffle. Like if I'm really fighting, I'm fighting to hurt somebody. So but I still try to protect my own teammates and stuff like that. So if it's something going on, I'm gonna definitely try to be in the mix.
So how is your opinion then on all these scuffles? So like so not scuffles, like where are you like so it sounds like then if you're in the play, you're throwing or not throwing, you're being held back. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
yeah, you're
I mean,
defend my
we
teammates?
definitely want to set the tone. We definitely want to show we're a physical team, and we definitely want to set the tone in the practice. So, if that means it's going to take a couple scuffles to do that after the play, then it is what it is. But we gonna definitely try to set the tone.
Makes sense, makes sense. And
Yeah,
so I know you're only with them for a training camp, and
yeah,
this is gonna be a weird question.
yeah.
So you played with Adam Gase for a preseason. Do his eyes really pop out of his head as much as it seems on camera?
Yeah. I think so. I would definitely agree with that statement.
Really? They pop out
Yeah.
that much in person?
I mean, he definitely it's definitely some things that surprise you about Adam Gates for sure. But I mean, he's cool in the interactions that we did have. He's a cool dude. But some of those things do come up.
See, that's a little yeah, you can't that's not talking shit. That's just how he is. This is how he
Yeah,
looks,
yeah, yeah.
right?
I'm trying
Right?
to talk shit without not really saying too much.
Exactly, exactly. See, that's how we do it. So, before we get a little more into your NFL career, I know on draft night you thought you were gonna be drafted. Unfortunately, you weren't. But like, yeah, it's sad. But was there a part of you also like, oh, I get to pick where I get to play now?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it that way. That's how I was forced to look at it. But I mean, to be honest, like Tommy, I was like truly pissed off. Like I was mad I didn't get drafted. I thought I would. I was under the expectation that I would, and then it ended up not happening. But just like anything else in life, when it doesn't go the way you plan it, you gotta readapt and refocus on what the goals that you have. And so the next best thing for me was just choose the best opportunity that would give me a great start to my career. So that's why I chose the New York Jets.
So, is it true that that was your favorite team growing up, the Jets?
It was, yeah, yeah, heck
How?
yeah,
Why is
yeah.
not the Panthers?
Because I mean, like when I was growing up, I had like the Colts a little bit.
Okay,
And I like
love
the
it, love
49ers a
it.
little bit, but then when I could really understand football, and I had like made the move to defensive back in high school, and I started watching this guy Darrell Revis. And at
Yeah,
the time, he was like one of like the best player, like on the defensive side of the ball. I just remember that '09 season he had where like he literally shut down everybody. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And at that point in time, like that's when I became like a huge Jets fan. Mainly because of him and Rex Ryan. Like I thought Rex Ryan was like one of the coolest coaches. Like I used to watch Hard Knocks and stuff, and I just thought like I loved the player coach atmosphere that he had going on in the culture, and so I became a Jets fan, and then having the opportunity to play with them and play with the Revis, play with somebody I've watched growing up was amazing. Just to see somebody uh, firsthand who you pretty much watched, as you made your own journey through your own career.
In that '09 season too. I don't know if I've assumed you see this is that graphic of like all these like Hall of Fame receivers he shut down. And whenever people try
Right.
to talk shit and they're trying to say
Right.
like someone else is better than him, they're like, all right, now look at this. Look what he did
Yeah,
back
I
then.
mean, it ain't really you can't argue that. Like he literally strapped everybody that year. It's crazy.
Dude, it was unreal. Like it was out of everyone who could say like you go on an island, like Darrell Rivas really took you on an
Oh
island
yeah,
and you weren't
for
touching the
sure. I
ball.
mean, you got guys like Jalen Ramsey, that's starting to do it now, and I mean, it's some other good players, other good corners, but Darrell Revis, man, he was a hell of a player.
He was special. Like that, it was just special watching him. So, and then obviously, unfortunately, we're cut by the Jets. But then you get signed by a team like the Dolphins. Do teams like that, like when you get signed in division, do teams try to like get information out of you? Like, where they be like, "Hey, dude, what
Yeah,
do they do? What do they do?"
yeah, man. Like I remember, like they like that's like one of the first things they ask you. Like when you get to the team, like what can you tell us? Like we know you spent some time there. Like what can you tell us? Like what do you know? Like especially on special teams, it's like, oh, can you kind of tell me like how they do their punt or like, what's some of their calls? And, oh, they ask all that stuff. And I mean, like you're not gonna say everything, but part of you like, man, like hell with them. Like they just let me go. So you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna give it all away, but I'm gonna say some things. I'm gonna say a couple of things, So, um, but yeah, that's definitely valid. They definitely, sometimes they pick guys up just to see like, what kind of information you can get from them, and then they cut them. I mean,
That
that's
was the
just how.
next thing I was gonna ask. Is like, do they do that? And is there a
Bro,
part of you
yeah,
that's just like, bro,
heck
they're gonna
yeah,
cut
man.
me the minute I tell them everything?
Bro, this is like one of the dirtiest businesses like you could ever like. I mean, this is the NFL is the most dirty business in the world. Like they do all that. Like they bring in a dude and they're like ask him, hey, like what do you know about this player? Like what do you know about the checks and stuff like that? And the week after they just cut him.
So like when you it's just even weird. This is an even shorter stint. Like you went for a workout with the Colts, and then you went to the Titans. When the Titans brought you in, was a part of you like, dude, they're just bringing me in to ask me anything they can about the Colts?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, no, the Colts was just the workout, but like the Titans, like when you have two teams, because I had spent some time with the Jaguars that year,
Yeah.
and so like anytime it's inside the division, like I'm sure there's some type of conversation going on. But I mean the Titans they didn't really ask too many questions like that. It wasn't really too crazy like that.
And so like you were also only there for like 10 days, and like something I've always
I
wondered,
was there for
especially
like I was there for like 48 hours. Like that shit was
really,
crazy.
I thought you were
Yeah, that
signed
was like
like, oh
that.
man,
Yeah, let me explain to that was so that was like the craziest. Like COVID last year, I was just telling somebody the story. So pretty much, I spent my first 3 years with the Jets, and then my fourth year, I spent time started out with Miami, and then finished up with the Jaguars. So me and the GM had a decent relationship, I guess. Dave Caldwell, but so going into my fifth year, COVID was at its heights, in the NFL announced that it had to cut the rosters down to 80, and they were allowing veterans to be on the practice squad, and so they could kind of fluctuate the rosters with COVID and stuff, and so but at the same time they weren't allowed to have any preseason games, so that was something that really hurt me because I was in a competition with a lot of the younger guys, and so the GM, they let me go, and he says, we're gonna let you go because we want to see what some of these younger guys can do, but once the season starts back, we want to just bring you right back. And so at the time, I was frustrated because I'm like, well, I want to compete, for one of the spots, but I mean, if this is how you already envision the process going, then it is what it is. So um, once we got released, the coach called me and they wanted to bring me in for a workout. It brought me in, and during this time, we had to sit in a hotel for like 5 days every time like you went to a workout because like it was COVID. You had to quarantine, you had to test for 5 days, like literally just sit in a hotel and test, and that was it. And like so, like after 5 days, I mean, you feeling kind of out of shape a little bit, because you just really just sat there. So came here, had to work out. They decided they weren't going to sign anybody. So then I came home and then waited like 2 more days, and then that weekend I flew out to Tennessee for a workout. Had to wait another 5 days in Tennessee before I could work out with them. So I won the workout there, but then they decided that they were going to sign another guy that didn't even work out with us, and his name was Walt Aikens, one of my friends. So um, then the next day he showed up and he was out of shape for the workout. So they had sent me home after the workout. Was like, hey, like we're gonna go ahead and sign this guy, like but if he's not ready to go, we'll call you back. So I'm like, well, why don't they just keep me? Just what I'm saying, keep me here. Anyway, they send me back home. They send me back home, and then I have to come right back because my homeboys, he's out of shape. Walt's out of shape, so they call me right back and they say, hey, like, all right, we want to sign you. Like, so okay, like we go back. We wait in the hotel another 5 days.
oh my
So
god,
now it's literally one day before final cuts and stuff like that. So I'm asking my agent like what do they like what do they like envision is gonna happen, for me to show them in one day. So they make the final cuts, and then so we get to the last day of final cuts, and they say, hey, like, Vrabel and the GM bring me in. It was like, hey, we're gonna put you on practice squad till you learn the playbook and everything. We know you just got here, like we want to keep you here and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, cool. So then the next day, like guys are all the guys are coming back in to sign their practice squad contracts, and like they're bringing them up one by one and stuff like that. And so my agent was like, "Hey, we just got the practice squad contract. Like, just go up there and sign it," type of thing. So I go up there, and like there's like this man, like the assistant GM where you go and sign your contract, and then you have the GM, which is like you only go talk to like if it's like something that's about to happen. So I'm seeing like they're bringing up people one by one, and then like bringing them to the assistant GM. Next thing you know, I go upstairs, and the assistant GM is on my left, the GM's on my right. So I walk to my left because I'm on the He's like, "Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
you're
you're
gonna
gonna
go this
sign. Yeah.
way." So he was like, "No, you're gonna go this way to the right," and I'm like, "To the right? I just saw the GM yesterday."
No.
I'm like, "Oh man, here you go." So I come in. He was like, "Well, okay. So how do I say this? So we saw a guy. This how he says it. He's like, so saw a guy on the waiver wire, and we really liked him. You know what I'm saying, in the combine process, and we really just want to get a good look at him. So we want to bring him in and sign him and stuff like that." I'm like, all right, cool. What does that have to do with me? Like, I don't have anything to do with me. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then so he says, um, yeah, so we're not going to be signing you to practice squad today. I'm like, what you mean? Like, I already done got the contract. Everything's like kind of settled and stuff like that. He was like, oh, let me explain it one more time. So he says it again, and then he's like, well, if this guy doesn't work out, we're gonna call you right back.
Oh
And so,
my god.
so immediately, I'm like, I just walk out the room, and then like, as soon as I walk out the room, they're like, hey, like, do you want to catch this flight in like 2 hours to go home? Like, this is how crazy this business is. So literally, I catch the next flight, go home. And I was already kind of looking at places to be there. You know what I'm saying? Places to stay, because you got to move out the hotel after training camp and stuff. So I literally go home, and I'm home for like 3 or 4 days. They cut the other safety from Tennessee like after a week, and then but after that first week of the season, Jacksonville called me right back, and I was there the whole year.
Rather
But
go, yeah, yeah, yeah. Makes sense.
yeah,
I'd rather go
I
back
mean,
there
that's just
than
like
you go back to Tennessee, bro. They were like
no,
after like
no,
a
no,
couple of
not
days,
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
out again.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, I'm not even gonna chance it. I'm not even going back to Tennessee. Hell with them.
That
Yeah,
is fucking wild.
yeah.
That
That's
is
how crazy this
wild.
league can get, man. It's. I've seen some highs, I've seen some lows, and last year was still a good year for me productivity wise, special teams and stuff like that. But of course, it wasn't fun losing at all.
No,
We lost a
no.
lot of games. Um, so that sucked for sure. But yeah, I mean, you just take it a year at a time or a day at a time, and keep pushing.
And being on the team like that last year, were there ever? I know I've heard people ask this before, but it's always interesting to hear
Yeah,
everyone's perspective on it.
yeah.
When you're going into those games, is there ever a game like you'll say you're going up? I don't think you guys played the Bucks, but you're about to play the Bucks. You're like, fuck, dude, we're not gonna win.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it's sometimes like you hear the game plan and you just listen, and you just listen to the tone of meetings, and like fuck, man, this shit's not gonna work. Like, this is not gonna work. Like, I mean, like, now I'm gonna say like as far as the players, like we did the best we could. I think like certain times, like with certain situations where um I don't know, like schematically, some things didn't work, and I'm sure like the players like made mistakes too. I mean, I don't know, it just wasn't a good combination at all last year. It was a lot of things that weren't going right.
That's very interesting. That's very.
Yeah.
I'm always curious. I know some guys like, dude, we never like give, we like blah 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 blah. But it's like there's a couple games like, bro, we're not gonna win.
I mean,
Like,
you're not going into it like you're not gonna win, but you're like I mean, you going into it to give it your all, but you're like like this, like that's I don't schematically see that working. You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
exactly.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
see
yeah.
this game plan being effective, like type of thing like that.
Like you have to be able to buy in to be able to have that like confidence.
Yeah,
Like,
you
yeah,
you
we're
you
gonna
balling
kick
in,
ass.
and you all in, but it's like, okay, like if we got 3 or 4 calls going against like Tom Brady or something, I know it's not gonna work. Like, like so,
And so
you know,
this is super weird. This is gonna be a really weird question, but like you've been around like a bunch of different cities. You've been around a bunch of
Yeah,
different organizations and seen how like they all differently operate. Do you think that kind of like do you think that that could make you like a front office kind of person in the future? Have you ever thought about that? Like you've seen what works, what doesn't work, how players react a certain way.
yeah, yeah.
You ever thought about
Um,
that?
yeah, I mean, I think not only for the front office, but like for other things that I want to do in life, when it comes to like athletic administration, like I want to be athletic director or like working in politics and local government. Um, when you talk about hiring and firing people, or you talk about like being able to, adapt to various different diverse backgrounds, like immediately, like having to go through different locker rooms, like in and out, which is a tough thing to do. Um, being in different cities, I would definitely say is an asset. Like being able to adapt is a huge thing. A lot of people just can't pick up and go, place to place and be able to, get comfortable quick, and that's something that I'm usually able to do. But like if you want to correlate it directly to like the front office, yeah, I could definitely see, some positives in it because I've seen it be done multiple ways. Like I've seen multiple coaches, I've seen people coach different ways. I've seen coaches that's real aggressive, and I've seen coaches that's really laid back. So I've seen player led locker rooms, and I've seen like locker rooms that don't really have any player type leadership. So, um, you see everything, a little bit of everything.
And so another weird question I kind of forgot to ask was like, so you said it earlier, like when you go into a training camp and like you're not guaranteed a roster spot, usually
Yeah,
you all stay in the hotel. That's not
yeah,
how it works. So
yeah, yeah.
then when you're on the practice squad in the regular season, do like teams have like deals set up with like like different like apartment complexes or condo complexes like to help set up the players, or is it like all on you and then just kind of hope you don't get fucked out of
Nah,
a
it's
lease?
all on you. Like it's all on
Really?
you. Like they got deals with like apartment complexes, but it's not a deal. Like it's still expensive. Like they like, hey, you can stay here, but it's not really like a good price. You know what I'm saying? It's the only thing that's good about it is like you can get in and out your lease whenever you need to. Now that's a huge
Okay. Yeah,
benefit
that's
because like
massive. Yeah.
yeah, that's massive. Some people like you lose your job and like you're still stuck with like 3 months of rent. Like nah, like say you get let go, you can literally be out your lease the next day and be fine.
Well, that's not
So
bad at least then. That was the one thing I've always thought about because like once I hit the real world, I was like, "Fuck, dude! If I got cut from an NFL team and I had like a
yeah,
house or an apartment, like I'm
right,
not gonna be living there. Like I just want to get rid of
for
that as soon as
sure.
possible."
Yeah, but I mean the thing is like usually you can kind of feel where you are along the roster and along the opportunity that you're in, so you kind of like can kind of gauge on how committed you need to be to the city. Like say for
Yeah.
example, like you don't need to go buy a house like in a place like you and then, I mean if you're on practice squad in a place, I don't know about going to buy a house, that don't really make sense, you know what I'm saying,
Nah.
because it's like you don't know how long you're gonna be there type of thing,
Oh,
or even
100%.
if you want to
Yeah.
back in, you know what I'm saying, you're just not really sure. So it's just having to put logic together with like what really makes sense.
Have you ever there's ever been a team where you've been at, like even let's say like the Jets, even though they had a new regimen when you got cut, like have you ever been a part of a team where like I'm gonna make the team, I'm gonna be here, like everything looks great, and then like the next day they cut you? Like has there ever been a team where you thought like based on everything you're gonna be with them, and then the next day like just kind of get
Yeah, my
backstabbed?
fourth year was like that. Like so like every my third year, I knew for a fact I was making the team. I didn't even play a fourth preseason game. Um, and then my fourth year, like I had a little thinking, like, cause I had a tough camp. My fourth, it wasn't my best camp. Some highs and lows, but I mean, looking back on it, that's every camp. Um, but I had a good feeling like going into it, like after final cuts, I was like, okay, hey, I'm gonna be here. And then I definitely felt like I beat out all the guys I was competing against. And then, the next day after final cuts, they cut me the Sunday, after they made some waiver claims on other guys from other teams. And so that kind of threw me off a little bit. Like we had went out celebrating the night before that we had just made the team. And then like the next day I get a call, I'm like, well, no, you didn't. Like, I'm like, dang, like, so that was definitely a hit and a blow. And a little, it was definitely a hit to my confidence for sure, going through that. But, yeah.
Oh, 100%. And so I have one more question before we do these like dumb questions I have. So like
Yeah,
when you can you walk us through your first ever touchdown and just kind of how like you're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
dude, what the
yeah, yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that was the last game of the year, and we were playing the Buffalo Bills. And like it was the fourth quarter, and I think we had like 4 minutes left to go. We were up on the Bills by a touchdown, I think, and they kicked the ball down. We kicked the ball down, and like literally, I'm the R5, so I'm on the right side, and I'm the guy that's closest to the kicker. So like usually that person's supposed to be the fastest one down, and during that play I was, and so I like sprinted down, and like as I got closer to the ball, I'm seeing the guys like trying to like let the ball go into the end zone for a touchback. So during this time, the ball rolls into the end zone, and the guy doesn't pick it up to kneel the ball. So I recover it and score a touchdown. The crazy thing about it is the next year they changed the rule. So now the rule is like as soon as the ball goes into the end zone, it's a touchback.
It's the
So they
Doug
changed the
Middleton
rule
rule.
'cause yeah, they changed the rule because yeah. So yeah, so like I recovered in the end zone, it was touchdown, and then the next year, yeah, they were like no more touchdowns for Doug. So
For you, like when you're like halfway down when you're halfway down the field, are you looking at the ball like this guy's not gonna pick it up? Like there's a chance
I was
here.
kind of thinking, I was like, I mean, like I see what he was trying to do. The fact of like, like if the ball goes into the end zone, like usually, like you think it's just touchback, and I
Yeah.
mean that's the rule now, and that makes most logical sense. But during that time, like you really have to, like you got to kneel the ball. So, um, I don't know if he just had a brain fart or what, but I definitely take
Because
it.
in college, that's that way too. It's like if it touches the end zone, it's a touchback.
Yeah,
So it must have
yeah.
been like one of those like mental things where it's like, oh, I think I'm back in college or like whatever.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And a lot of guys have like brain farts like that. Even when you look at like the two hand touch rule, like say
yeah.
for example, like when a guy on offense falls on his own and he's not down by anybody on defense, like he can get up and keep running. You know what I'm saying? That's not the rule in college. So
A lot of different things. So here we got some dumb questions for you. So first one, you've been through a lot of different like you've had a lot of injuries, which is unfortunate, but
right,
that means you've gone through a lot of treatments. Rank
right.
these three treatments: cupping, acupuncture, and then chirotherapy.
Okay, I would say acupuncture first.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Needles. I mean, I just feel like acupuncture is so effective. Um, like I think like even sometimes when you throw the dry needling in with like stem, like I think that's very effective too. Um, but yeah, so I would rate that first. I think cupping is cool. I love cupping. It's another good way to treat soft tissue. And then the chirotherapy, like it works. But so does the cold tub. It's a lot quicker, and
Yeah.
the cryotherapy is three minutes long. But yeah, that's how I would have to rank them.
What's the one that people think works, but it just doesn't do anything, or it does something, but not a lot? Like, what's the most overrated therapy session?
Oh man, I would say like of course the hot pack works, but like the hot pack. So in the league, like I feel like because I used to have this trainer, I'm training with the Jets, and literally if all the treatment tables, like if you came into the treatment room and all the tables were full, like everybody else's like came in early or whatever, and guys need to get treatment, he would just set you up with a hot pack in the corner, like give you hot pack and just like every time now somebody tells me to get a hot pack, I'm like, bro, you just bullshit. You just don't want to do anything right now. Because it's like sometimes like anytime they're doing something like, hey, you come in there like, hey, can I get like a little massage, or hey, can I can you do the spot cryotherapy, or hey, can you set me up with like do some dry needling or cupping? They were like, hey, just go grab a hot pack. I'm gonna give you a hot pack real quick and do it for like 20 minutes. Like I don't need to get a hot pack for 20. It's not doing. I mean, yeah, it's loosening me up, but come on, man, it's not really doing much. Like
It doesn't do
you
shit.
sit for 20 minutes with a hot pack.
So next one, do you still have the best grass in North Carolina?
I do. It's been getting a little bit questionable lately. Now that I haven't been home to make sure it's all green and stuff, but I'm gonna have the landscaping guy come by on Monday just to make sure everything's on point. But it's definitely
So
been a little
okay,
questionable.
that was the next one. Is like, do you do it all, or does someone else do it?
Nah, somebody else does it. But he's been a little inconsistent this last couple weeks, so I got to get on him a little
He
quick.
knows you're not home, so he's slacking
Yeah,
off a
he
little
just like
bit.
he's
Yeah.
not really on it.
What's your favorite uniform you've played in, whether it be college or NFL?
Wow, I would say Jets green color rush.
Did you
Color, color.
what uniform did you feel the fastest in?
Mm, I would say all black with the Jaguars, or all black with App State, or any kind of all
I
black.
would say those App State uniforms are cold. Those
Yeah,
things
I
are
feel
those
I
are
feel the
sweet.
fastest in the all black for sure.
Oh yeah, those are sweet. All right. Which city was more fun, New York or Miami?
Which city?
Yeah,
New York.
New York.
I love Miami. Like, trust me, I love Miami. Like, I mean, that's if I could live anywhere, and my wife probably wouldn't be cool with me living in Miami, but if I could pick anywhere, it would be Miami. But New York was, I probably had the most fun in my life in New York.
All right. Well, makes sense. I mean, you're fresh out of college too, so it's probably
Yeah,
time of your
exactly. Everything
life.
was new to me,
Yeah,
So,
yeah. What's who's an offensive player that hit you the hardest?
mm, that hit me the hardest
Yeah, like the hardest hitter
on
on
offense.
offense. Yeah, on off, or it can be defense. Well, let's do offense and then defense. Yeah.
Okay, the hardest hitter on offense. Um, I had to tackle LeGarrette Blunt one time. He's a pretty big dude.
He's a massive dude. I was gonna say
He's
you
huge.
he played against Gronk a couple times. I feel like he
Yeah,
would have been a
he's huge.
massive.
LeGarrette Blunt
Yeah.
is gigantic as a
So,
running back. So
LeGarrette
I
Blunt.
would say him. And then on defense, um, who's the hardest hitter? I think.
Let's do that.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I play with Jamal Adams, and like, bro, he hit hard as shit sometimes. Yeah, so I would say him.
Have you ever hit someone? Have you ever hit someone so hard to like, bro, I just gave that guy a concussion? 100%.
I mean, like when you got a good lick on somebody, you can feel it, like, and like you can see it in them. Because I mean, you know, like when you got a good lick on somebody for
Okay.
sure. So yeah, it's definitely been times where I wouldn't say concussion, but I knew I definitely put my pads on him for sure.
He felt you. He knew you
Yeah,
got
yeah,
hit. He knew
that's a
you
better
got
way.
hit. He knew
I'm
you
not
got
just
hit.
walking around like I don't want to give him a concussion, but I definitely want. He definitely felt me. That's a better way to say it.
So I was a lineman, so I never got that opportunity to go full speed and just hit somebody. But that was always
Yeah,
that was my favorite thing in practice when I was given those little opportunities.
yeah.
Who is who's the offensive player that's like the fastest? That is like deceivingly fast.
Deceivingly fast.
Yeah. Like Andrew Luck, I remember everyone didn't realize he was fast, but he's actually a pretty fast guy. Like that's the kind of
Yeah.
example I could think of.
Okay. Deceivingly fast.
Deceivingly fast.
I would say like some of the Jets quarterbacks we used to practice against, like they were old and like Fitzpatrick. Nobody thought Fitzpatrick was fast, and like
Yeah, he's low key
he
fast.
could run, like he could run, and like McCown was kind of the same way. Like these are two guys that's like pushing 40 that could like still run pretty good. So if you say deceivingly, I would say those two probably.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a lot of quarterbacks who never really
Yeah,
like
because I mean
just don't run.
you don't really think they're fast. Like there's no way you should think a receiver's deceivingly fast. Like if you prepare and watch film, like you should know either he's fast or not. Like one of the two.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a couple like I know like linemen sometimes are deceivingly fast just because they're units, but like the quarterbacks are usually just because they never run. It's because
Yeah,
or
but
they're not supposed to run.
and then it was a situation. This is like probably my own fault that I didn't know this, but like I went against like Vontae Davis, no Vernon Davis, and the Redskins when we practiced against them it was Redskins at the time. We had a joint practice against them, and I don't know why I didn't think he was as fast as he was, but like Vernon Davis is like the fastest tight end ever.
Yeah.
Um, so like I had pressed him and like he took off and I literally could not catch up with him. So I guess if you want to say deceivingly, he definitely falls in that category. I don't know why I didn't know that, but
He was one of those guys before his own time. Like
yeah.
if he was around now, man, it would be so much more. I feel like he'd be a lot more appreciated. 'Cause I feel like he's one of those forgotten guys where a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
people
yeah,
don't
for sure.
remember
I mean,
how
he
good
still
he
had a
was.
good, 15 year career, 15-year plus. Yeah,
Yeah. His injuries kind of got in the way, which was
yeah.
unfortunate. Yeah. So, last question I got is: you're a big mental health awareness guy, and you've gotten some awards for it. Have you ever used that as a pitch to get signed in the NFL?
I haven't, but I'm sure my agent has. I personally have it, but I'm sure,
That's an agent
um,
tactic. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure my agent definitely uses that like good locker room guy, great leader, type of thing like that, really involved in the community. Um, and I know when I was with the Jets, like Mike McCagan, his wife was very supportive of a lot of my mental health, like foundation stuff. So, um, I was a pretty big blow when he left. So, anytime you have like the times that I've gotten cut is just because like the GM gets fired or the head coach gets fired. Like that's usually the biggest hit, because when I got cut from the Jets, it was because Todd Bowles and the GM got fired. And then when I got cut with the Jags, it was the head coach and the GM got fired again. So um, that's really the thing. That's when you have a good head coach and a good GM that you've built a good relationship with, it's kind of hard to lose your job if you're like consistently just doing the right thing every day. So
If you're like a special teams guy or just
yeah,
like a
if you do your
yeah.
job and you come in and be the same guy every day and very consistent, it's hard to lose your job. But then once you get new people in there, like they're gonna want their guys. They're gonna want, they're going to change things up. Like Urban Meyer made it a thing to really you know flip the locker room. Like I mean that's what he wants to do. Like you talk about a team that's won one game, like they're gonna flip everything around
Yeah.
and change everything up.
Yeah. So with that question too, this is the end of the interview. So
Yeah.
I'm giving you a platform to kind of talk about your awesome organization and like all the things you got going with all that.
Yeah, yeah. So my organization, Dreamed Impossible, it's a mental health organization that was founded and created after I lost my best friend to suicide. What we do is we promote mental health awareness and kind of connect people to resources when it involves mental health and helping them find the help that they need and helping young adolescents find the help that they need. And now we transition into a lot of work with student athletes and helping them get therapy.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Yeah. So with that said, we wrapped it all up. Follow my boy Doug on social media. Go check out his foundation if you need help. So for me, for Doug, we're out. Peace.
Peace.